Hi, I'm Pete Lockett. This is the South Indian Kanjira by Remo, and we're going to be continuing our look at Indian music, Indian rhythm, Indian percussion on iDrum. Now, this drum is really, truly one of the most fantastic hand drums that you find in the world today. A very, very simple drum. Traditionally, this drum would be lizard skin, would have monitor lizard, and would be glued on to the shell. The monitor lizard skin is very thin, and the way that drum is tuned is by sprinkling water inside the drum head, which makes the pitch go down. The problem is, because the drum head is very thin, the pitch changes very quickly in performance, and it's actually never stable. It's never actually at one note for any particularly long length of time. So a Kanjira player is always going to have 2 or 3 Kanjiras at the ready at different stages of moisture inside the head during any performance. Hence the timely arrival of this drum, the Remo tunable Kanjira, which we can see is tunable by the Allen keys go inside the shell and tune the head. Now we can see it's a single jingled instrument, very, very simple in construction. The technique also, there are not a lot of strokes on the drum, but there are a lot of rhythms that are played on it, because one has to articulate a lot of the Indian rhythms that you find on drums, such as the mridangam, which is the double-ended barrel drum that you find in classical Carnatic music. There are a lot of strokes on that drum, a lot of articulations, and that has to be replicated on this drum, the Kanjira. Now, first of all, we're going to look at the holding position of the drum. Now, the drum is held at 6 o'clock with the hand. The thumb comes inside the shell in this manner. The thumb never touches the head. There's not any activity at all playing strokes or doing anything inside the drum. All of the strokes on the drum are done with the right hand or left hand if you're left-handed. Now, you can see around the front of the drum we've got the fingers coming round. Now, this is what bends the pitch. You see, this is the totally open stroke on the Kanjira with the bending of the fingers just by gently pressing. Now, the hand isn't over the head, otherwise it would be completely, there would be no resonance to the drum at all. So the holding position without the fingers muting the head too much is very important. There are a number of ergonomic matters which are also incredibly important. Now, the first one is, as I said, we're holding the drum at 6 o'clock. We don't want this to happen, for the drum to fall sideways, left or right. So it's got to be held firmly at 6 o'clock, well balanced. The next position that needs to be considered is the angle of the face of the drum. So if, for example, I've held the drum at this angle, then I've got to bend my wrist to be able to play on the drum. Similarly, if I've gone too far, then I've got to come round and I've got to lift my arm out in front of the drum, so it's kind of awkward. So the thing that dictates the playing position of the drum, ergonomically, this angle here, is the natural angle of your forearm. So if you put your hands down on your leg, the natural angle of the forearm is going to be the angle of the drum, because that's the least ergonomically strained position. So we're at 6 o'clock, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, and we're at this angle. So then we're in a comfortable playing position. Now, the striking of the drum, as I said, is all done with the right hand. There's one very important thing about playing this drum, and it's very relevant to many Indian drums, and that is the way they divide their hand into 2 striking units: a 3-fingered striking unit and a 1-fingered striking unit. There you go. 3, 1. So, now the hand isn't held in this position. The hand is held naturally, but we strike with those units. So the 3-fingered unit and the 1-fingered unit. Now this is the beginning of playing the drum. It's a very staccato sound, a little bit like a very soft slap stroke on a conga. The hand is quite flat when it strikes the drum, and you can see how far into the head the hand is. So we have the 3-fingered striking unit playing into the drum, not bouncing off, playing into the drum, and then the 1-fingered striking unit, 3, 1. So we're looking for a very, very staccato, tight sound. The next stroke we're going to look at is the open tone, which is played with the first finger and is played a little bit back out nearer the edge of the drum. Very rarely does the 3-fingered unit play an open note. There are some players in modern India who do open strokes with both the 3-fingered and the 1-fingered. But most traditional players tend to do the open stroke just with the 1 finger. So we can see where the finger's hitting. And again, the action is similar to a hand on a conga, as it kind of hits and slightly bounces off. It's not too much bounce, but you're not going to be playing into the drum in the same way that we do with the closed stroke. Now, one other thing I'm going to mention about the playing position, and that is the position of the jingle. Now, you notice I am playing with my right hand over the jingle. Now, you can hear the sound. Now, if I move the jingle over here, the sound isn't so tight. It's almost like a slight delay. Not nearly as tight and as sharp a sound. So for me, it's very important to play over the jingle. The other important thing is, with drums such as this, which have a natural, artificial drum head instead of the natural drum head, is that although this pretty much retains its form, sometimes if you're playing a lot, you can get some slight indentation with other drums, such as the old Remo Kanjira. You could get some indentation of the fingers. Now, it's okay if that's in one place, but if you are moving the drum around and you've got those indentations that might not come out in different places, then you lose all the resonance of the head. If the indentations do occur and they're just in the one place, then you can still get the bend of the pitch bend of the drum, and everything is fine. Again, this doesn't happen with the new Remo Kanjiras. So, we're going to look at a first simple basic pattern to get us started with this drum, and it's going to be, the fingering is going to be 1, 3, 1, 3. Remember our striking units, 1-fingered and 3-fingered. And we're going to have an open tone on the first of 4 strokes. Open, closed, closed, closed. 1, 3, 1, 3. Now, we're not doing any pitch bending. None of that. We just want a nice, clean, open tone. One of the skills with tabla and with Kanjira is the way that the bass sounds are manipulated with the glissando. Now, the important thing with that is that in the beginning, you have to have a very clear open tone. So that's what we're looking for in this instance, a very clear open tone. So no pitch bend at all. Now you want to start off very slowly and slowly work up a little bit faster, but the most important thing is to be very clear. The strokes have to be very clear and very concise. So it's a very simple beginning, but it will start to get your hand used to the drum. So from there we can start to do some different variations with where we're going to have the bass drum. So for example, So you can see a very, very simple pattern can become quite effective, but the important thing is to be very clear. The strokes have to be very clear in the way that you play them, and then slowly build the speed up. So don't start to play too fast, too quickly. One of the good things, of course, is with the Kanjira is that you can take it pretty much everywhere you go. So you can practice, on holiday if your wife will let you, or husband. And a fantastic drum, very effective. As I mentioned as well, the actual playing techniques the strokes are very few, but a lot of the rhythms are very complicated, and we've looked at some different Indian rhythms in the last few lessons, so we can begin to imagine how they might be used. Another easily accessible way of using the drum is to take some basic kit rhythms. So just with the one-fingered open stroke and the close stroke with 3, we can do some basic kit rhythms. You can see it's pretty straightforward in that I'm just using the three-fingered stroke and the open stroke. So it's one of those drums where you can instantly get to some musical ideas and begin to explore different things. Of course, as time goes on, you can start to work on the pitch bend, and also start to look a little bit more at some traditional Carnatic music. I mean, two great, fantastic Kanjira players to look out for currently are, or over the last sort of few years, are Selva Ganesh, who's one of the top Kanjira players in India, and the late Hari Shankar, Harishankar, who was actually a living legend. He was the complete and utter total star on the Kanjira. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But check out Hari Shankar, because he's was a truly fantastic Kanjira player. So I'm just going to wind up. I'm going to play a little bit on the drum. I'm just going to improvise. I'm not really going to do anything particularly Indian, just so you can sort of see some of the sounds and some of the ways that it can be used.